everyone. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. I am here with Kev and our new show member, Dylan, for the first time on a match preview to discuss the upcoming game of Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest. So before we go anywhere, I just want to give Dylan an opportunity to just tell us a little bit about himself. You may have seen him in Patreon. You may have seen him in our Telegram chat. Dylan, just give us a really kind of brief 5-minute summary of you as a Liverpool fan and how you got involved in the crazy world that is the Talkin Kop.
Yeah, so long time Liverpool supporter. Was sort of born into it. Didn't really have much of a choice. I think if anyone listened to the page on the other night, I spoke about being born to a father wearing a Liverpool jersey at the time. I stumbled onto Talkin Kop a good few years, maybe 4 or 5, maybe more years ago. Jumped on board with a couple of comments, threw in a couple of random questions, which most probably know me for. And then met Gav at a golf day and started getting a little bit more involved in jumping on random shows and quizzes and all the sorts. Met a couple of the faces in Liverpool in May last year and really enjoyed the whole process. So asked Gav, could I get a little bit more involved? So delighted to be on tonight, and thanks very much for having me.
Of course. Yeah, Dylan is also here to bring the average age down. It's sort of like Liverpool's recruitment policy over the summer where they're buying all these young kids to kind of make us hip and all that jazz. Kev, I'm going to come to you first, just so that we can sort of take our minds back to where we were prior to this international break, which I know is kind of a dark place. I don't want to bring the grumpy Kev out of you, but I'm going to. I just want to talk a little bit about where your feelings were kind of at the beginning of this international break and sort of where they are now. And after you finish kind of giving that idea, I'm going to read through some stats from a Michael Reed article that everyone in the chat may or may not have heard of. And it's just going to kind of set the tone of where the club is for the next push.
Well, look, there's no sugarcoating it. After Man City losing 3-0 away to Man City, that can happen. It just felt worse than that. We had the goal that should have been given that wasn't, but we never really hurt them in any meaningful way. And we're sat in 8th. We've lost 5, and it's a bitter pill. It really is a bitter pill to swallow. And I suppose you look at the amount of games that we won last season by the odd goal, and there was quite a few. And yeah, we won the league at a canter, really. But if things didn't go our way and we didn't snatch as many 1-0s and 2-1s and what have you, and some of those were draws, it could have been a lot tighter. And when you take our form going back from I suppose the Spurs game right the way through to today, at Anfield we're fine. I think at Anfield we're good. We've lost 1-2 in the Champions League at home, won the rest of our league games at home. It's away from home, and it seems to be whenever we face adversity, whenever we get rocked away from home, is where we really struggle to get a grip back in the game. And unfortunately, I suppose the over-reliance last season on Mo Salah's goals has come back to bite us this season, because if he's off form, you really need to slack him picked up by others, and it's just not at the minute. It's not so much the goals. We're creating enough chances in games. We have an XG of almost I think 2.7, 2.6. It's right up there. But our XG in the first half, in the start of this season, we're conceding way too many goals, way too many goal-scoring chances. Not so many, it's not the goal so much. It's the quality of the chances that we're giving up is the real problem. And look, you can call it a reset or what have you, but there's been a lot of change. There's been a lot of there's reasons for it. It's not just sprung out of it. And when you stand back and you look at it in the cold light of day, and you make the amount of changes that we made, Chris is right in what he's talked about before. Apart from a Mourinho side in 2004 at Chelsea, it's very rare to have that many changes in a squad and compete, especially as champions, and compete. The turnover has been really high. The argument probably is it's turnover that should have been more steadily over the last 2 or 3 windows, but it all came in one window. We are where we are now. It looks like he's got pretty much a full strength squad to select from for the weekend. Bar Frimpong, I'd say, is probably the only serious, frontline serious player, first team squad player that is going to be.
And Leone.
Yeah, but I mean, Leone's out for the season. That's it's just we're coming into a run of games now where there's no excuses left. If you go through a full 38 game season and you lose 5, that's a decent. You'll have a decent season. If you only lose 5 games over a 38 game season, you're going to have a really good season. If you lose 5 of 11, your wiggle room is gone. You have to pick up the baton and run with it. So, come Saturday 3:00, there's no excuses left. They have to be churning out wins from now up until whenever the next bump in the road comes, because there's no more excuses. There's no more room for anything now, for any more mistakes. And the players have to respond to this. They're the ones who are put us. I hate the ways this is going to sound crass, but they're the ones who put us into shit, because they're the ones who crossed the line, and it's up to them to get us out of it, and to get themselves out of it, and drag us to some kind of a respectable season. And it's still all to play for. It's still really early. There are other clubs are going to hit bumps in the road, or other clubs above us are going to have injury problems. But unfortunately, at the minute, there's a fucking lot of clubs above us. And I don't like that feeling of sitting 8th, because you mess up on Saturday, and that 8th could be 10th or worse.
See, that's the grumpy Kev that we don't want to bring out.
No, but this is the reality where we are.
Valid.
It's like we have to start making strides forward. This squad needs the confidence to start making strides forward, and if they can carry their home form into their away form, carry the Champions League form into the Premier League form, and start getting confidence from somewhere, they can't keep giving up leads and chasing their tails and ended up getting sucker punched. We have to start a line in the sand and start to move forward from Saturday. Have to.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Kev. There's plenty of numbers that support what you're just talking about. I mean, the thing that you mentioned about, the number of losses that we've had so far in the last couple of games, we have lost more games this season than we did the entirety of last season. And to give you an idea, that was 4 games last season. And the last time that Liverpool have lost 5 games in their previous league fixtures, it was 49 league fixtures ago. That's how long it took us to lose 5 games. So the idea that we're losing 5 games in the space of 6, that's a slump. It's a crisis, or whatever you want to call it. I told you that I was going to mention those Michael Reid stats. I'm going to read them out to you. They don't make for pretty reading. But Michael Reid made a really comprehensive article right at the beginning of the international break, and he went through some really key stats about Liverpool and kind of why they are the way they are. And Dylan, I'm going to direct this to you because you're usually a pretty straight shooter. You don't like to sugarcoat things. You'll tell us like it is. So I'm going to read these stats to you, and then you can kind of respond. So, stat number 1. The Reds have the least forward passes per game since Opta began recording forward passes in this season. Number 2. We have the second most goals conceded across all 5 European leagues since winning the league versus Spurs, only behind Wolves. That includes all 5 leagues in Europe. We have the joint worst record in the league for goals conceded on the break. We have the second worst record in the league for goals conceded from set pieces. We have the third worst record in the league from goals conceded directly from errors. And we also have the third worst record in the league from shots conceded from long-range efforts. We've gone down by a goal in the first 30 minutes of half of all of our games. We have had 56 Opta-defined big chances in our last 14 games in all competitions, but have scored just 15 of them 4 of them were in the Frankfurt game. So you can take that down to 11 if you subtract the Frankfurt game. Our shot conversion rate is down to below 10%. It's 9.6%. A couple more, I promise I'm almost done. From corners and indirect free kicks, Liverpool have not scored a single Premier League corner. The only free kicks that we've scored is the penalty from Mo Salah and that one free kick from Dominic Szoboszlai. In 2025, no Premier League side has lost more away games in all competitions than Liverpool. They've lost 50% of every away match this year. And finally, Liverpool's win rate away from Anfield this year is at 33%, compared to 74% at home, which is good for this game. But it's the second largest gap that's ever been between home and away. And the last time that happened was in 2010. So, bunch of things to think about there. And they're not happy reading. But what's your general feeling? Do you think that those stats are true reflections of where the team are at? Do you think that where we are in the table is a true reflection of where the team is at? And just kind of how are you feeling? I asked Kev this earlier.
Yeah, you're right when you said they were a bit of a shit show.
They are a shit show.
And they are quite damning. It is a real true reflection on how things are going, both on and off the field. We seem to be a side that's jumping from pillar to post. So one week we look like we're great, the next week we look like we're crap. We look compact, next week we look like we're wide open. And I think that shows in the likes of the counter-attacking goals we've conceded, the set-piece goals that we're conceding. And I think it all spirals then. Kev mentioned that any sort of animosity, and it looks like we go into our shell away from home. And to have the below 35% win rate away from home, it just seems to be that case where a throw-in goes against you, or you lose a foul in the middle of the park that could have been given, could not have been given, and all of a sudden the heads are down. And you're not far from conceding then. And it's a worry. I think we're better than where we are in the league. Now, we haven't shown it on the pitch, and we haven't even come close to showing it on the pitch this season. I did think it was worrying at the start of the season when you started seeing late wins after late wins after late wins. You do like to have them, but you like to have them spread out across the season rather than in the opening 5 games. I think physicality is the big one. I don't know if you've listened to Carragher today on Stick to Football. He mentioned that Liverpool looks so weak through their spine, and I couldn't agree more. If it's not Gravenberch in there winning a battle, I don't think anybody is. If it comes to the defensive line, Bradley gives away fouls, Kanate gives away silly fouls, and it just invites pressure. I'm hoping coming out of this international break, it's that line in the sand that Kev mentions, and you can see a bit more of a more consistent side, and you can kick on from there. But you're going against the Sean Dyche Forest, who are physically dominant. You'll have the 2 centre-halves are big, centre midfielders are battling midfielders, centre forwards like you're going to be Chris Wood, who's huge. So them stats sort of need to be shaken, and you need to see a almost immediate reaction coming out of this international break. And I'm optimistic that we do.
Okay, we've got an optimistic vote from Dylan. Dylan mentions there, Kev, some of the tactics that we might be facing for Forest. So let's direct our attention toward Forest. Start looking toward the future. There are a lot of people that are arguing that our next run of 5 or so games seems pretty kind. To give you a little bit of context behind that, Liverpool have already faced 7 of the teams in the top 10. So we really haven't faced that many teams in the bottom. I think it's only Everton that we've actually faced that's in the bottom of the table. So in general, it seems like we have a slightly more forgiving couple of fixtures that are coming up. But that being said, as Dylan pointed out there, the style of play that we might face in these teams is almost exactly what seems to be our kryptonite recently. So we have the advantage of being at home, which I think is a huge advantage coming for this particular game. But what do you think that this Forest team is going to bring to the table that might cause us problems? Because I don't think this is the same Ange Postecoglou Forest team that we saw earlier in the season that you knew and loved.
Unfortunately. Yeah, Sean Dyche is going to have them set up just like he used to set up Burnley. And it suits Forest to be set up in this way. Morgan Gibbs-White is their best player. He's their best outlet. I watched the highlights tonight of the Leeds game, and they won it 3-1. Now, look, 3-1 kind of flatters Forest a bit. They got a late penalty, I think, on the 88th minute for when Leeds were chasing the game. It was a rash tackle. It was just a stupid one. The Hudson-Odoi engineered the contact, slowed up, invited the tackle, and the defender obliged. When Gibbs-White scored for them in their go-ahead goal to go 2-1 up, they had 4 or 5 players in the box. So it's the one thing Forest will do. They'll look to play for the counter. They'll look to use Morgan Gibbs-White and striker to get them up the pitch. But when they do get up the pitch, they'll look to flood players into the box. Not over the top flood into the box, but try to get 3 or 4 players into the box looking for crosses. It depends on how they set up, but Morgan Gibbs-White is their outlet. He's their key. Elliot Anderson is a brilliant, brilliant centre mid, but he'll play more than likely play with Sangare next to him. Both of those have scored recently as well this season, so they're 19th. Okay, they're not the Nottingham Forest of when they qualified for Europe. When we played them last year, we were top, they were third. They're not that side. We're not the same side either. We're a damn sight better than what 19th is. They're on their 3rd manager of the season and an owner who's an absolute fruit of the loop. So it's
put it kindly.
look, there's going to be kids listening to this at some point, more fool the parents, but it's a game at home you have to be winning, and arguably it's the biggest game of the season because this is a game you have to win. Going away to Man City, going away to Chelsea, you can come undone. You can lose those games and hold your hands up and say, look, yeah, they're a tough place to go. Palace away on the strength of, the slot said, a 2-day turnaround. They're in good form. You can lose that game. The Brentford one and the United one are sickness. You shouldn't be losing those. And Saturday is 100% a game you have to win. I don't care what fucking hoofball they want to play. I don't care how direct they want to be. Your centre backs have to stand up to it. They're not going. I don't think they're going to play with Chris Wood. Don't know if he's available or not. I don't think he is. But even if they are, what about it? Battle him, win your battles, and that's the key. That's the key to this. That's the key to everything for us for the rest of the season. Individual players winning their individual battles on the pitch, getting us up the pitch, getting leads in games, doubling up the leads, and then backing it up. Football is, people can talk about tactics and formations and styles and setups. It all comes down to battles. It all comes down to midfield, and one midfield dominating the other. And if you win the battle in the middle of the park, you'll win more games than you lose. And so far this season, we haven't been doing that. Our midfield has either been got over the top of, or individual errors by people not doing the basics like tracking back, making tackles when they shouldn't, when tackles need to be made, and in some cases, defenders jumping out at things when they shouldn't be jumping out. Ill discipline.
Yep.
So ultimately, do your jobs, turn up on the day, win your battles, get the 3 points, and move on. They have to start chalking these off now.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Nottingham Forest, 19th, keep them there.
Yeah, Dylan, let's touch base on these games that we have coming up. So we have Nottingham Forest in 19th. We have West Ham in 18th. We have Sunderland, who are in that kind of lofty position of 4th, which is mad. Then we have Leeds in 16th and Brighton in 11th. 3 of those are home games. The away games are West Ham and Leeds. So let's theoretically kind of walk through what you want to see from this team in those. Let's just stick with those 5 games and stop before we hit Spurs?
Yeah, I think you have to be looking for 15 points. I think you need to be coming away. You need to come, as Kev says, you need to start going in there, getting your 3 points and coming out of there by all means necessary. And it needs to be rinse and repeat, I think, for the foreseeable, until such point where this squad as a whole is confident of going in and getting fixtures both home and away. And then you can start chopping and changing, making your couple of tactical switches. All of them teams look beatable on paper. Definitely. The away games are obviously a worry about how poor we've been. But a nice gap there from the 30th until the 6th with 3 fixtures, no European game in there. I think you need to be eyeing up 15 points.
What are you doing in terms of lineups? So one of the things that we do in our match preview is kind of talk through what we want to see for the lineup against Nottingham Forest. But then let's kind of talk about also, do you think that carries over into these games? Do you think that there's enough similarities where Slot could maybe come up with one singular plan and kind of go for it? Or do you think there's going to be some adjustments?
I think it's a game by game basis. I'd like to see Kerkez come in at left back for Andy Robertson and Verts to keep that left hand side. I think if you look at his international performance for Germany, Kev spoke about it the other night on a show of how good he was in both fixtures for Germany, sort of on that left channel. I think we should be looking to make the most of that. At the end of the day, we were signed for a fortune and we need to start letting him play in position that he feels is natural. It also gets your 3 midfielders on the pitch, which I think we need to start doing. And I think it's time for McAllister to start showing some sort of form. If not, I think there'll be an awful lot of claims for Jones to come in. I think keeping the side the same doesn't always work. I think West Ham, maybe the away games, you might see Robertson coming in. But I think it's time now to get this squad as a whole, keep it consistent. And whatever the decision is from Slot, whether it be 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, Verts on the left, Verts through the middle, whatever it is, it's time to start sticking with it now. There's no more time for, we'll try this 1 week, it's Gakpo, then it's Verts, then it's Ekatike, then it's blah, 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 blah. I would like to see Isaac coming into a starting 11 as well. Ekatike doing very well over the international break. But I think it's time for Isaac to start showing up. We done a show midweek and we were talking 5 words about or 4 words about Isaac, and people were saying that hasn't done much yet, and I think it's time to start seeing what he's all about.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. I mean, one thing about Isaac that we were talking about amongst ourselves in our kind of group chat was the fact that he didn't get any minutes really for Sweden. And Chris was particularly upset about that. Kev kind of had a different opinion. In Chris's view, he was saying, well, why didn't he just stay back at the AXA? And then Kev, you were talking a little bit about, you were okay with him going away to Sweden. You were saying, you want him to get meaningful minutes, at least training where he's not training against, the under 18s. Can we talk just a little bit about Isaac and, do you think that he's going to be fit for this game? Do you think he's going to be eased in? And what do you think that looks like kind of for this set of next 5 fixtures or so?
Yeah, look, I think Gav hit the nail on the head a few weeks back, or it might have been last week when he talked about Hugo and Isaac doing a 60-30 split between the two of them for the foreseeable. And you can rotate it whichever way you like. The reason why I said that I didn't mind him going away is pure and simple. 1, change of scenery, never hurt anyone, especially injured players. The last, they're in and around the AXA all the time as it is. And I'd say that must be a soulless place during international duty. So going in, just doing the rehab work, doing the work with a coach on your own. Yeah, the under-17s are there, or what few of them are there who aren't off on international breaks themselves, because the under-21s are away as well. So it's like, what can he really do? So by him going away with Sweden, he'll train with his international teammates, get to know the new manager. The new manager will get to know him. Change of environment never hurts anyone. And the fact that he was on the bench, he came on for 30 minutes in their first game and he wasn't involved in their second. So, he might be he probably will be on the bench on Saturday. I don't expect him to start, but we have to start seeing a return from him on the pitch. But ultimately, I want to see him get fit. Just get him fit, because once he's fit, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, he's a proven goal scorer in the league. You know what you're going to get with him, but you're not going to get jack shit with him if you don't get him fit. So we have to get him fit and get him match fit. And if that means he's coming, we have 3 games a week now for a good while. He's getting 30 minutes every 3 days off the bench, and Ekitike is getting an hour. You can flog Ekitike for an hour. Let him run, let him press, let him harass, let him do everything for an hour, knowing that Isak is coming on. You know, going into the tank for an hour.
Yeah.
And go from there. But the other one that I would look at, I mean, Dylan mentioned Kirk starting. I'd agree. I'd start him as well. But I watched him against Ireland. I thought he was poor.
Yeah, he was.
You know, I thought he was poor. All of Ireland's success in that game came down his side. Now, granted, he wasn't getting any help. You know, he wasn't getting any help that side, and he was hung out to dry a fair few times. And Ireland targeted him with 2 or 3 players to work around him. So whoever is playing on the left, if it's going to be Wirtz, and I've no problem, I think Wirtz was brilliant for Germany. Off the left, he has to do his defensive work. Whoever is playing on that left-sided 6 role has to do their defensive work. I don't want to see, if we're playing with 2 6s, I don't want to see the 2 of them ahead of the ball. I want to see the 2 of them behind the ball at all times, close to each other, behind the ball. And let the fullbacks give you the width. Let the fullbacks on attack support the wide players up front. Let the wide players up front invert, and off the wing backs, the fullbacks offer their strengths, which is getting up and down the line. In Bradley's case, inverting, getting inside Mo, but in Kirk's case, is getting beyond Wirtz and giving him the option. And when he gets beyond him, give him the ball.
Yep.
Give him the ball. Let him put crosses in, because the next time Wirtz has the ball, the fullback has to go with Kirkis.
Yep.
That gives more space to Wirtz.
Yep.
You still have the likes of Cody Gakpo to come off the bench if you need him. You know, if you want to change it, if you want to add a second striker up front, if you want to add physicality, whatever way you want to do, we have options. It's one thing that we do have at the minute is we have depth. Right now we have depth. But yeah, I expect Alexander Isak off the bench, and hopefully we start to see what we've bought, because look, for the money we paid, we have to get a return.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For that fee, for that player, I keep having this awful gut fucking churning, horrible feeling. Do you remember the show that Shawnee did with Gav and Keith going back earlier? It might have been last season, when they talked about £100 million signings.
Yeah. And how many
they never work.
And how many fail. Now, football has moved on from the days of those players that they were talking about being £100 million signings, because nowadays spending £100 million on a player is not the be all and end all. It's kind of the way football is going.
Yeah.
But for a club like Liverpool that spends what they make, that Alexander Isak deal has to work on the
huge outlay.
It's a huge outlay. Yeah.
But it's an outlay for the length of his contract. It's not an outlay for 3 months.
Absolutely.
So we get him right, get him fit, and take our time to get him right. You know, and give him the best chance. That's all we can do, because when Salah goes off to Afghan, middle of December he goes.
I mean, I think it could be as early as the 8th. That's still kind of up for debate. Yeah. They're still talking to the Egyptian national team.
So, but it's coming up. So whenever he goes. Then I think we're gonna have we'll see.
I mean, we're talking potentially 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, but I think after that, when that enforced change comes, I think there's every chance that you'll see 2 strikers playing up front for Liverpool.
Fully agree.
You know, but we have to get from here to there, and in that process of getting from here to there, we need to get Isak fit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, one of the things that Isak offers that we are sorely missing is that conversion rate. He is far and above out of all of our forwards in terms of non-penalty conversion rate. He's up at 26.4, which if we could get him on the pitch, that would be a huge improvement. I think overall Liverpool's current players are shooting at around 15.3. So you're talking about nearly doubling that, which would be incredible. The thing to consider, Dylan, with some of these big money moves that we were just talking about is, if we look at some of the more recent big money moves in the Premier League, let's, maybe an Enzo Fernandez Enzo. We're talking maybe Caicedo, maybe even a Declan Rice.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, those are all midfielders. If you look at the way that they kind of settled in the first 6 months or so, and I'm using this to apply to Verts as well, given the fact that we're talking about midfielders, but I think a lot of us had this conversation about, wow, what a flop, or what did Chelsea buy, or, I can't believe they spent this much money. And then fast forward, whether it's 6 months, whether it's a year, I'd throw Rodri into this mix as well.
Yeah.
I think something that we have to consider is just the fact that we really haven't had these players for that long. 11 games really is nothing. They really didn't have a proper preseason.
Mm-hmm.
In Alexander Isak's case, he's been injured for a huge amount of that time.
Yeah.
Do we as Liverpool fans need to be a little bit more patient here? Because I think that a lot of these players were bought for the future, and we're all looking at the now, and we're all kind of like instant gratification. But I think a lot of these players will still come good. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, fully agree with you. I think as Liverpool fans, we probably need to pump the brakes a little bit on it. It's not a new thing where our players come to Liverpool and are fantastic. You look back as far as Fabinho, who couldn't get a game, was missing games against Manchester United in important fixtures in the middle of the season. You look back at Andy Robertson, who couldn't shift out Alberto Moreno. It's not a new thing. People coming to Liverpool with the expectations and the weight on their shoulders of Liverpool and needing time to adjust, add a high price tag and a huge expectation on top of that. Cut these lads some slack. Isak is one. No pre-season at all. Trained on his own for a chunk of it. Came here, got injured, hasn't really gotten himself back into fitness. You're right in what you're saying. They are brought here for the long term. They're not brought here for the first 3 months. They're brought here for the term of their contract. And I think it was mentioned at the end of last season that as fantastic as Salah was, his goals and assists can't be replicated in one player. They would have to be spread across the aggregate. And when you look at Verts and Isak, I'd imagine that's what the plan was to bring in the two of them, and that would replace Salah's goals and assists. Problem is, Salah's goals and assists seem to have dried up rather quickly, and the two lads haven't had that opportunity to hit the ground. I think if Salah had been performing particularly well up to this point, goes away into AFCON, comes back a little bit slower than what he is, even to the level he is at the moment, and the two lads are already fit and firing, you're looking at this as a completely different. And I think the whole sports media is looking at this completely different. But look, narratives change so quickly in football. You're only 2 or 3 good games away from Isak being back in contention as top goal scorer. Well, he probably won't catch Haaland considering the form he's in. But
one can dream.
They're back into being considered good value for money.
Yeah.
I know, again, Verts is in the same situation. I know it was mentioned the other night that when we go to renew his contract, people will probably be looking going, Jesus Christ, Liverpool pulled off a robbery here. We should have been paying extra for this fella. I'd be very much in the same camp. I think we're only very, very, very small changes away from Verts being a fantastic footballer for Liverpool.
Yeah, there's too much talent in the team, in my opinion, for this to fall flat. I think it will gel eventually. It's just, I think that we need to be patient. Kev, I'm going to come to you in a minute with lineup predictions. Before I do that, I want to stay with Dylan because we didn't get his opinion on the little bit of transfer activity that we've had. So while you think about lineups, Dylan, the 2 big names that came up in our conversation the other night between Kev, Chris, and I was Guehi and Semenyo. And it seems like those are gaining a little bit of pace in the media, a little bit of pace on Twitter. You can take or leave, the sources as you wish. But can you just touch base with how you feel about both of those players? Do you think that they are necessary purchases? Do you think they are the right purchases? And do you think we need them in January?
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
I think yes to all of the above. I think Semenyo is a huge thing. I think I've said it in every single chat that we've been involved on Telegram or any show I've been on. I've mentioned that I think our wide players are really lacking pace, and teams can press us a lot higher than they could previously when we had Mane, Salah, Diaz. that pace and fear that they'll counter on you at ridiculous speeds always, gives them defenders a little bit of fear and makes them drop a yard or two further back. Whereas now they can sort of press us on the halfway line, knowing Salah's not going to be 5-6 men to get through on goal. Verts, although as good as he is, he's no pace demon. And Gakpo we've all known what Gakpo's limitations are pace wise. So I think Semenyo is a big change on that. He reminds me so much of way Sadio Mane was when he was at Southampton, where everything he touched seems to turn to gold. I would go and get him in January, and I think we do probably. I think the sources are starting to reek of how it was when we went and got McAllister. It's starting to sound very similar to how it was when we got Kirkes. Liverpool would be definitely interested in this fella, so I think that will happen. Guayi, people laugh because I mentioned Guayi's height.
It's a little bit short for you.
A little bit short for me, that's the truth. And I think the game is getting a lot more physical. I think the strikers are getting a lot more bigger, and heading and set pieces and long throws is a big concern. But I think he's an improvement on Joe Gomez. I think he would have been an improvement on Kwanzaa. So I'm all for bringing him in. January, yes, we're probably a centre-half short because I don't think Slough fancies Joe Gomez a centre-half. Would I like to wait until the summer? Probably. I don't mind the idea of us getting them on a free, because I'm sick of our players going for free and us not exercising that right. And I'd love us to start getting in that equation. If we bring both in January, am I going to complain? Absolutely not. But they are definitely two problem areas, in my opinion.
Yeah, one thing on that. I saw an interview with Carragher tonight on Sky Sports, and he's bang on what he said. We're an injury at centre back away from the season derailing completely.
Yeah. Oh, we're an injury away from no Europe at all.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think as much, and I love Semenyo. You all know I love Semenyo. We have to be signing Guehi or another centre back.
Yeah. I mean, that could be Schlotterbeck. I don't know if Dortmund is going to let him go mid-season.
No. No, I think if there is a move for Schlotterbeck, it'll probably be in the summer. But I think we do need two centre backs, and that's for reasons that we discussed on Patreon. I definitely think Mark Guehi is a top centre back. You watch him for England, but more importantly, you watch him for Palace. And yes, at Palace he plays in a 3, sometimes in a 2 with Lacroix, but he's proven. He's 25 years of age. He knows the league inside out. There's no surprise in sides going direct. Sides go direct against Palace.
And both homegrowns too.
Yeah, and he plays against Mateta every day in training, so he's used to the physicality. So yeah, I have no qualms about Mark Guehi. The only thing I'd wonder is how much are Liverpool prepared to pay for a player to get him out 6 months early.
I don't think they go above 15, in my opinion.
I don't think 15 gets him.
I don't either.
I guess that's probably the conundrum. Yeah.
Because is it a case that Palace screwed us? And
Glasner screwed us.
But
specifically.
I think Palace screwed us in the summer. I think that was a done deal for the timeline that was.
And I think we did them a lot of favors as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly, because we didn't go after them in the press afterwards. So I wonder. I mean, look, at the end of the day, money's money. Footballers' business, money is money. I wonder if there's going to be a deal. If there's a deal probably already in place, because I don't see anybody linked with Mark Guehi, a player with 6 months left on his deal.
It's all foreign. It's all European teams.
The usual Spanish, red tops.
Yeah, I saw a Bayern link earlier, but I don't think that's going anywhere.
No, it's not. I think that deal is already done.
I have to agree with you.
I would like to hope so. And he seems, again, I don't know the guy, but he seems like someone that honors his kind of promises or honors his word. He seems like a very kind of loyal person. I was going to throw this, or no, not that one up, but that's a good question. Before we get to that one, I was going to get to Jordy's question. Doak's injury looks like it could be a long one. Does that impact the Semenyo move at all?
No, because it's a buyout.
Yeah.
It's a fee written into his contract for a time period. So Bournemouth, the only thing that Bournemouth and Liverpool will Liverpool will look to try to do is payment structure. They're not going to want to shell out a lump sum for the buyout. If Liverpool can do a deal where they structure the payments, I don't think they'll have a problem paying the 65 million, but they'll want to have a payment structure that's suitable for us. And the flip side is, on that front, Ben Doak's injury could be a problem. But it's once Bournemouth put a number in his contract, Bournemouth has to be planning for.
There's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, they have to be planning for his replacement the day that ink is dry on that contract, because that it will be paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually seen reports that Liverpool will be willing to pay more than that 65, but for a favorable payment structure, which I think could very well be possible for them to kind of get ahead of the queue. This question that Kev put up here, Dylan, I'm going to send it to you because you're our hype master. Is Guehi the answer? We've all been saying we need more physicality, so should we be making our defense smaller?
No, it's my answer. I like Guehi.
Explain your thought process.
Yeah, of course. No, like I like Guehi. I like him as a footballer. He's fantastic with the ball at his feet. So many clips of him being put under pressure, being pressed, and just turning the centre forward inside out and breaking into midfield. He has experience of playing in midfield. He's a couple of appearances there for Chelsea when he was at Chelsea. I don't think he's the answer long term. I think everybody knows that. His height is the main concern for me. His aerial win rate is really, really low, lower than anyone in our squad. But my argument for him is Joe Gomez isn't fancied. So, you need a centre half. Joe Gomez isn't going to be picked. So I'd much rather have Guehi than have Endo or Nallo or Reece Williams, or as long as the list is at Liverpool centre halves who aren't Joe Gomez.
And I think anything to take the pressure off of Konate, because right now Konate seems like, the bullseye that all of our opponents are kind of honing in on, and everyone seems more than happy to give Konate the ball and make sure that Virgil doesn't get the ball. And that seems to be one of the main tactics that are going forward. Okay, circling back to the game, Kev, I asked you to kind of come up with your lineups. Dylan, I'm going to be coming to you next, so have those ready. Why don't you walk us through, Kev, explain your thought process, and let's talk through the goalkeeper as well, because Allison is potentially in contention to come back, but we haven't heard the press conference yet. So where are you with that? And then move us through the rest of the team.
All right, assuming Allison is available, then he starts. He's missed 2 months of football, but unlike any other position on the pitch where you can blood him in off the bench, goalkeepers, just get in and play.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you need Virgil to take your goal kicks, then Virgil could take your goal. Stand in the middle of the post and just be sexy Alison Becker. That's all I want to say. Bradley will play right back, Konate, Virgil, and Kirkes left back. At the end of the day, Frimpong is about training. He's back on training on grass, but to me that means he's at least 2 weeks away. If all he's doing at the minute is starting to train on grass with a hamstring injury, that's usually 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. He's probably on the bench.
You might want him for Mo Salah's departure as well.
I really fucking hope not.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what we're gonna do on that right wing.
I'll explain my thought processes there in a minute, but that back four at the minute, it pretty much picks itself. But the only question is Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson's still pissed. So
I think he's on the bender.
Yeah,
I think he probably comes back in for PSV, and you might see Gakpo coming back for that as well, because I think that they have a really good partnership.
And I love players going back playing against their own side.
Yeah, I think that Gakpo starts against PSV for that exact reason.
Yeah. The other two is, I just think the team kind of picks itself. Gravenberch, McAllister in the middle of the park, with Szoboszlai as a floating centre mid on the right hand side. Wirtz off the left, Ekitike up front, Salah on the right. The bench will be strong, and we will have options. My thing with Frimpong playing on the right wing, if we carry on playing the way we're playing, where Mo Salah is the highest person on the pitch when we don't have the ball, do you really want Jeremy Frimpong being that guy. No. So at the end of the day, he's not a right winger. He's at best a right midfielder. If you want to play a 4-4-2, play a 4-4-2 with two up front and play him as a right mid with Conor Bradley behind him. Fine. No problem with that. But I honestly think that to get the best out of Jeremy Frimpong, you need to evolve the way Liverpool attack. And you almost have to use him in the same way as Leverkusen used him, with three defenders behind him, a City midfielder, and he supplements the forwards as a midfielder from the right side. Yes, he can defend, and his pace is like Kyle Walker, gets him out of a lot of trouble defensively, but until his hamstring looks like he'll trust it, that we're just going to be flip-flopping between our fullbacks for the foreseeable, which ain't a bad thing. Look, Arne Slot, when he makes his changes, invariably, always, even last season, changed his fullbacks virtually all the time. The amount of games that Trent would start and Bradley would come in, Robertson would start and Costas would come on. So it's not unnormal for him. And I think Joe Gomez's big problem is that while Frimpong is out, as much as he might have wanted to use him at centre-back, he can't risk Joe Gomez picking up an injury and having absolutely no cover at right back whatsoever.
I think that's the argument for playing him at center back as well.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's an awful place to be, where it's like you're too valuable as a sub that I can't actually play you as a starter.
Yeah. It's a horrible position for Joe Gomez to be in, and he's been his own worst enemy in his entire Liverpool career, injuries aside. He's a competent left back. He's a competent centre back, and he's a competent right back. He's not going to excel in any of those positions, bar one season where he was fucking excellent.
I mean, I think if you put him at center back, if Slot was to trust him and to give him time, I actually think that he might give Konate in the current form a run for his money.
Oh, look, he's better on the ball than he is.
I think he's better than Konate is on the ball.
Yeah,
and I think that, I think Slot is really, really headstrong, I guess, is probably the kindest way to put it when it comes to making decisions about these things. But yeah, for me, I think Joe Gomez probably deserves a run at some point, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Actually, you might be able to look this up, if not for tonight, but for another night. Where's Bradley in terms of, I think Dominic Szoboszlai is a booking away. He's on 4 at the minute, but I don't know where Bradley is in terms of bookings.
4 and 9 games he has.
Yeah,
he's on 4. So
Bradley has 4, Szoboszlai has 4, Kirkus has 3, and then Gravenberch is the closest with 2.
Okay, so
Bradley is in that danger zone.
Yeah.
Dominic
and so is Szoboszlai.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, look. I'm not saying I'm not fussed if Dominic Szoboszlai picks up a yellow. He's got to pick one up. It's just invariable.
Jones can step in there more easily than Gomez can step in for Bradley.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a bigger deal to lose Bradley at the moment.
It's just one game, though.
Exactly.
And if you're going to lose him for one game, maybe West Ham isn't the worst. Maybe Leeds isn't the worst.
Exactly. It's a period of time. And look, we're not going to be the only club at the minute that are going to be losing players through suspension.
And you might have Calvin Ramsey in the background.
Is in the background as well, yeah. So look, I mean, I fully expect that 11 with the bench we have available to us at home to beat Nottingham Forest, irrespective of the form that Nottingham Forest are in. I think they're better. They're better than what 19th shows them to be in. You take the Postecoglou nonsense out of it. The manager that they started the season with, Sean Dyche, are on about the same points per game ratio, 1.3, I think. So I think they're better than what 19th reflects them to be, but they're not a top half side at the moment. So if you were playing Nottingham Forest and Nottingham Forest were in 11th, you'd still not just fancy, you'd expect Liverpool to beat Nottingham Forest at home. Full stop. And last season was an aberration. As annoying as it was, it's a fucking aberration. They really are a shit side. I fucking hate them. I just want to go and smash them 5-6-0.
That would be lovely.
The thing is, I think that
especially since we're doing a watch along for that game.
Yeah.
We will get to. That's a teaser.
Yeah.
But since we're doing our very first Talkin Kop watch along, I fucking love it if we did a good job.
I would love it if we beat them.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. I think Kev would get his like Australian top out, and we'd have flags and everything. It'd be fantastic. Dylan, I'm going to ask you the same question. Before I do, I'm going to tell you the results that Forest have had in the last, 5 games or so. So their last game was versus Leeds. They won 3-1. So a little bit of a turnaround there. They played Sturm Graz. They tied 0-0. Before that, they had United. They tied 2-2. Before that, they had Bournemouth, who they lost to 2-0. Before that, they won to Porto 2-0, and then they lost to Chelsea 3-0, and Chelsea was down to 10 men. So that's kind of their thing as a whole. They have not won away from home all season. So something to consider. I'm not throwing that out there as anything other than just a fact and a data point. You can take it as you will. So let me kind of see if you're on the same page as Kev with your lineup, and then I'm going to kind of take us into our predictions.
Yeah, I have the
Just
exact same.
run me through it for the sake of it, even if it's exactly the same.
If Ali's available, it's Ali in goal. If Marmanashvili's in goal, fine, no problem. But if Ali's available, he takes that number 1 short back. Bradley at right full, Kanate, Virgil, Kirkes left back, Grav, McAllister, Szoboszlai in front of him, Salah on the right, Wirtz on the left, Ekatike through the middle.
Okay. So nothing crazy, no wild cards.
No, I'm not throwing Chiesa in or Rio just yet.
Okay. All right. So the way this works is you need to give me your score predictions, but you also need to give me the goal scorers. So come at me with whatever you think for this game. And be careful how you speak, because I've done this and I've done it poorly. So
perfect.
Take your time.
4-0 Liverpool. Wirtz, Hugo, Kanate, Salah.
Okay. Kanate redemption arc. That would be lovely. Are any of those goals a corner? Because I would love us to score from a set piece.
Yeah, Kanate.
Okay. I
like Wirtz's delivery.
Dylan and I we're bonding here. This is fantastic. Okay. Kev, same question.
3-1. Virgil, Szoboszlai, Hugo.
Okay. Are any of those goals a corner or a set piece?
Yes, Virgil.
Okay. Excellent. This
is
fantastic.
We're due.
We are due. We have no goals from corners. I don't even care if it's a long throw at this point.
But I agree with Dylan. Florian Wirtz's delivery from set pieces is right smack into the area that Virgil loves to attack. That he likes to make that run from the penalty spot towards the near post and get something on. Now, Milinkovic is probably the type of centre back to look to block that space. And Sangare, again, he's about 6'2", 6'3", he's a big unit. But, you know, we're due one. All we have to do is get the delivery right. We have the players to attack it.
Yeah.
So just get the delivery right. Give Virgil a chance to get on something. And yeah, I fancy us. I don't think we'll keep clean sheet. I think Morgan Gibbs-White on the counter is. See, the thing is,
he has never scored 3 games in a row. This would be his 3rd game in a row.
Morgan Gibbs-White to me there's a cohort of players of that age group. There's him. There's Foden. You man at Chelsea. What's his fucking name?
Palmer.
Yeah.
Rogers.
There's about 5 or 6. Yeah, Rogers.
They're all kind of that 22-ish age range. Yeah.
Harvey was another one.
Harvey's there. Curtis is there.
Yeah. He's that one that seems to get forgotten out of all of them. But he's a seriously talented footballer.
He's only gotten forgotten because he has a gun behind his head.
Well, there is that. And the other one.
Spurs didn't forget about him.
Allegedly.
Mr. Marinakis.
There is.
Mr. Marinakis says he has to be happy.
Yep.
Well, he has to be happy because, whatever. But Elliot Anderson, watch him.
Superstar.
I think that Liverpool.
I think he's on the move this winter.
Yeah, I do too, unfortunately. But I
don't know if it's going to be to us, unfortunately.
No,
Adam
I think
Wharton in the
it's
summer.
a straight shoot between him and Adam Wharton as to who we're going to look at, and I think we're looking at both of them. It's just going to be a case of what one do you want? What role do you want filled? I think
How much money does Steve Parrish get from us?
I think that
between Guehi and Wharton.
Yeah, but I think they'll both go for the same money.
Of cash.
So do I. Pretty similar anyway.
Yeah, I think they'll go for pretty similar money. I think.
Do you think that Elliott's gonna go for like 100 million?
I think he'll be very close. I think neither of them will go for 100. I
don't think they're gonna go. I think I could see Wharton going upwards of 80-ish.
No,
I think Elliott maybe 60.
It's the type of player they are. They're both are defensive midfielders. I mean, Caicedo aside,
Rice, Enzo.
But they're not.
Baleba.
They're not holding midfielders. Baleba is. Caicedo is. But I think Caicedo is an exception to the rule. He's just you're seeing this year. He's the best in the Premier League at what he does.
Kante reborn.
Yeah. And I don't think Wharton or Elliot Anderson are in that league yet. But I don't think their fees are going to be in that money either.
Yeah.
And I think at the minute it's a position you named them off there. Baleba's another one. It's not a position in the game at the moment that there is an abundance of talent there. There is a lot of players out there that fit that mold. Stellar, the German international as well.
Shocked that no one moved for.
Exactly, which makes me think that someone is moving for him. Maybe not this season, but definitely next season after the World Cup. It's a position I think that there are options, and I think Elliot Anderson is going to be on our radar. So it'll be interesting to see, because it'll be Szoboszlai will be on that side to track him and for him to pick Szoboszlai up. So if Dominic Szoboszlai has a really good game against Forest, because Anderson wasn't able to deal with him.
I mean, usually if Dom Szoboszlai has a good game, we have a good game. Sure. And there was a little bit of chatter about that on Twitter, where you heard Gravenberch and Szoboszlai potentially getting new deals. So as we're kind of talking about our makeup of our midfield, that might be the future. Let's go through a couple of these score lines here. Just don't go too fast, because I can't read them. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one first. So Walrus. I don't know why the numbers are here on our YouTube. That's just a fault. But Walrus is what I'm going to call you, and you're going for 2-0 Virgil van Dijk and Konate, which would be interesting. Corner. That would be fantastic. We've got Bonkers going 3-1 Mo Szoboszlai and Gravenberch. Also awesome. Oshin is saying 2-1 Ekitike, Verts, and Gibbs White. I am doing my best here. So
that's very good. That's very,
mess
very
with
good.
Me.
Okay.
That's
very good.
See, we're getting somewhere. It's when Gav is in my ear and I'm under pressure. So we're going with that. Cool. You tried to fuck me up there. I know you did. All right. Anyone else in here? We've got a few kind of
We do have a good record against Sean Dyche.
Tell us a little bit about the record. I'm
17 games. He has 3 wins, 2 draws. So 11 points from an available 51.
Okay. Excellent. See, I even got an A+ from the chat.
Himself.
Yes. See, we're good. Okay. Before we go, a little bit of housekeeping. And then I'm gonna just touch base on the games that are coming up this weekend. So housekeeping. We have a new opportunity this weekend, which has been asked for by chat members, and we're gonna try it, which is a watch along for a Liverpool game, which I'm really nervous about, because I'm a nervous wreck when it comes to watching Liverpool games, and I may be hiding behind my couch this entire time. If you're interested in watching that live on, your screen, you can click on that Patreon button over there. So that is going to be on our Patreon. It allows us to kind of maybe throw out some clips, talk through some stuff, probably have a lot more expletives than we would be allowed on YouTube without being demonetized. So that's going to be in our game live. We'll start, with the first whistle, and we'll go through the entire game. So Kev's going to be there. Chris is going to be there. I don't know if Dylan's going to be there. We'll see. But yeah, there will probably be some expletives. I don't know. We'll see. After that, we have our regular match reaction. That's going to be on YouTube. That's a free show. So, you know, anyone that's not in our Patreon or paying for membership, you're welcome to come to that show as always. Our Sunday show is also available. Our Sunday Night Cop, also free on YouTube. So we're trying to kind of split it equally between paid and not paid. We also have a bonus show tomorrow, which is sort of just our random chat, which could go in any direction whatsoever. And that's going to be on Patreon as well tomorrow evening. So just things to look forward to. We also have our NordVPN sponsor, which is down somewhere below me. There's some information. I know there was some news today about losing the rights to Champions League football for TNT, which I don't know if you guys want to talk about that after, but after my segue. There may be some people that need a VPN service to kind of watch Champions League football starting next year. So that's an option, as well as maybe the 3:00 games that we are kind of part of this weekend. So all of those things kind of help out the channel. As for this weekend, there are a couple of big games coming up, and I just want to touch on those before we head out. And if you want to talk about that TNT deal, you're welcome to talk about that as well. Kev, I'll come to you first.
Yeah.
Big games this weekend, probably to look out for, are going to be Newcastle, Man City, and then you've got the North London Derby. There's an Everton Man United game thrown in there as well, which might be interesting. I don't know if there's anything else that you're kind of looking out for, but those three are what stands out to me. Do you want to just kind of throw out your really rough predictions for those three?
They're massive games. Start with Everton, Man United. Look, at the end of the day, I think they're 5 unbeaten. So I don't want to keep that run going. I was talking, it was funny enough, my postman's an Everton fan, big Everton fan. And he was saying, look, he went over to see him against Fulham. He said, really impressed with how they played. Desperate for a striker. They're desperate for a striker. So Grealish really good. They got to improve at fullback, and they got to get a 9. United have to back up. They're picking up a few. They picked up a few injuries, but if it's at Everton, or Manchester United away at Everton, they tend to struggle at it. But
it is home.
At Old Trafford, you'd expect United to beat them.
Yep.
Arsenal is home to Spurs.
Yeah, Arsenal batter Spurs.
Absolutely.
Newcastle is home to City. Newcastle's on a pretty poor run of form.
Yeah, City should beat them. Look, I just look at Haaland. Haaland's a fucking freak. I watched him for Norway against Italy.
He is a freak.
And he, again, he was quiet for a large part of that game, and then he just turns up. And he just goes bang, bang. And I just look at that Newcastle side, and I think they're limited. I think they're good at what they do if you allow them to do it. The advantage is for Newcastle is they'll sit in deep, and they'll look to play on the counter, which can suit them.
And Voltemade has been good. He was good in the international break as well.
Yeah, he was all right. But he's not going to have Florian Wirtz teeing him up.
No, that's true.
But they're 3 good games. They're 3 really good games to watch. So, someone asked earlier, Aussie Cop asked, does this mean there's no final 20? No,
we're kind of combining it. So because of the final 20 being
there's a lot of games.
If there's a 3:00 game, normally if there's not a Liverpool game, we'll do the final 20. Because Liverpool's on in that time slot, we're all going to focus our attention on Liverpool, mostly because we then have to talk about it in a post-match and we want to actually know what the fuck we're talking about. Yeah. Otherwise, we look like idiots live on stream. Exactly. So that's the thought process.
Can't do both.
I have ADD. I can't do both. It's bad enough me trying to take notes. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be an interesting experiment. Dylan, I'm going to come to you with the same questions. North London Derby. Man United, Everton, and then Newcastle at home to City.
Yeah, North London Derby. Arsenal give Spurs a hide, and it might see Frank in really deep trouble because I think the players are starting to turn on him a little bit. United beat Everton at Old Trafford. If it was at Hill Dickinson, it might have a chance. I think Everton are, as Kev said, my brother-in-law is a Evertonian, and he swears that everybody's playing particularly well, bar Beto and Tierno Barry. So striker is the requirement for them, and he goes on so much about how poor they've been signing strikers over the years, as far back as Tosin and stuff like that. So
that was horrendous.
Yeah, good enough for them. Keep it going. Fuck them, really. And the final game was Man City. Just Haaland's just too good at the moment.
Our resident Newcastle fan says, it's snowing here. I hope the game gets called off.
Love it.
That's the spirit that's up there. That's the Geordie spirit. So, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, one thing that we didn't touch on, and, I don't want to linger too long, is the fact that Arsenal did get a major blow with Gabriel being injured. It looks like he's going to be out for a minimum of 1 month, possibly longer. It looks like something's going on with that kind of thigh adductor area of his leg / groin. Probably more to come there. Do you guys think that that's going to have any role whatsoever in terms of, it seems like maybe some of the injuries are popping up for Arsenal. Kev, I'll come to you first.
It'll test our depth. I think they bought well. I think Mascara has been a good signing for them. I've seen a bit of gossip, a bit of talk that Lewis Skelly could be on the move.
I did see that, yeah.
If they decide to use Calafiori as a left centre back, and Lewis Skelly might play himself back into contention as a left back. Look, they have the depth. There's no excuses for Arsenal. One injury shouldn't be a problem for them. They spent a shit ton of money, same as us. So they don't have the excuse of, they're missing Gabriel, big whoop. He's a top centre back. He's one of the best centre backs in the league. But you've got about 67 million other ones.
You've pretty much cleared the market of all center backs, which is why we all find it really difficult to find center backs.
I just think there's no problem. I think the other thing that at Arsenal at the minute, it looks like, what's his name?
At Arsenal?
Yeah, he's had a setback in his injury.
Havertz,
yeah, he's had a setback that could see him back, knocked a couple of weeks back. Aussie Kop makes a point there. Hincapié is still there.
Yep. I think that's probably the way forward. I think they're probably going to use him. Yeah. They could even pull Ben White off of the tanning bed. He's still around.
But I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Lewis Skelly is sold to give them.
They need to for PSR reasons. They're very, very close.
Yeah.
His contract is running down as well, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, I think he wants a lot of money.
Yeah, and Tuchel's putting pressure on him to play regular football if he wants to make that England World Cup squad. So.
Yeah,
which is weird because he's a really good player.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
He's only a kid. He's played far too much football as he is.
I just think he's in that situation at the minute. Like 1 year is after extending. The two of them are really close, but he's at that age, kind of like Harvey Elliott was, where he's had a taster of first team football, playing at Arsenal. Having a title run or a side challenging for a title, and suddenly you're out of favour. You're seeing your club sign another player for your position, spending 50 odd million to bring in a guy who hasn't seen the light of day, really, in Hincapié. And you're sat there going, do I really want to sign a contract extension and stay for this?
Yeah.
I
think Rico Lewis might fall into that at City as well.
Exactly. But then City need that.
You know what? There's actually, we just got called up, and that was very true from Oz Copite. Lewis Skelly signed a new 5-year contract in June 2025. Yeah.
Take back then. I'm wrong.
No, just want to make sure that we have the facts right. So thank you so much. I don't know who your actual name is, but I'm assuming you're one of our Australian followers. So there's a couple of you. I don't know if it's Kyle. I don't know. We'll see.
But if that's the case, it could be a case that there's a buyout clause in his contract.
I think so,
or something that.
Yeah, because he's there until 2030 at this point.
Yeah, it just blindsided me a bit when I saw that he was potentially on the move. Because the reason it came up was someone made a point about Arsenal being a potential destination for Anton Semenyo. Which, in fairness,
because he's supposedly an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But if you're looking at the possibility of Odegaard being sold, which wouldn't surprise me, then someone like a Semenyo coming in with Eze as your options to play behind a striker makes a lot of sense, but they don't have the headroom to be able to do that deal without a really big sell. And at the moment, Lewis Skelly looks like probably the one that they
He'd be
could
pure
command
profit, right?
Yeah, and they could command a hefty fee for him.
Yeah, I mean, like Oisin says, Arsenal do have the best squad in the league. It's a fact. I tend to agree with you as much as it pains me to say it. They really have kind of stacked, especially that defense, and we know that old adage, defense wins championships. I hope that's not true. I really hope that's not true. All right. It's been 1 hour and 10 minutes. I have gone over my allocated time. Gab's going to hate me. Dylan, before we go, your first show here, any sort of final thoughts or anything that you want to say before we head out? Just kind of close out the night.
Yeah, no, nothing major. I'm happy we're back. I fucking hate international football. As good as it was for Ireland, I fucking hate international football and the shite that comes with it. But let's kick on from here. Let's draw the line in the sand on how poor we've been. 5 losses out of 6. And let's turn our season around. There's definitely stuff to play for. There's definitely a couple of trophies up for grabs, I think. European football is a big option for us to go and get a bit of silverware this year. So let's kick on from here. And thanks for having me on.
Of course. That was quite a rallying call. Kev, anything to add on to that?
No, what he said. I'm good with that.
Thanks,
everything that he said is all I need.
Okay. Well, on that note, we're going to kind of seal it with Dylan's kind of, great attitude there. And we will be back tomorrow on Patreon if you guys are wanting to kind of hear our randomness. Otherwise, catch us on that watch along and then catch us for the show afterwards for our regular kind of post-match content where hopefully the Reds chop down all of the trees in Nottingham Forest and just get an actual fucking win on the board because that would be fantastic. Thank you all so much. Thank you everyone in the chat. You make the show what it is, and we really, really appreciate you all. Kev, can you